So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly run through the managed services component. And this is specifically for, once we've assumed that we've established an SAP archive, we've migrated content, and there's, a few different options in terms of how we now manage that technology to allow your business to ensure that you have the most agile practices. And a couple of just data points before we jump into that is, and this is, these are from reports that Accenture has created, but essentially there's a couple of different ways to look at why managed services make sense or a hosted environment makes sense. One is the obvious one, which is cost savings. Again, when we have a team that's in place where their sole job is to just focus on this, that's our sole job of focusing on the SAP archive infrastructure, the clouding environment, our ability to monitor that environment, repair that environment, patch that environment, etc. There's an economy of scale there. That means that we have several people who are doing this with, which in most organizations, it might be one or two. And you have all of those issues associated with 24-hour SLAs, the issues of people going on vacation. I think the traditional term was hit by a bus, but we like to say won the lottery. So all of that kind of stuff, right? So nothing new here, but I just thought I'd point it out. But the other thing that, is really interesting and important is the ability to allow your organization to achieve its greatest level of flexibility and agility. So we're not in the normal change management process of an organization where you have resources that are multitasking, possibly performing administrative services and upgrade services and patching services on multiple applications. This becomes, our sole focus for you. And that means you can take that out, right? So we're not talking about, okay, there's a new patch that comes out and it has a specific feature that our business wants to leverage, but we just don't have the time in our project schedule to do it. And we have to kick it out 9 months, 12 months down the road. You can recognize the agility and the capabilities of your applications far more rapidly by leveraging managed services. And I've got some formatting issues here with my little checkboxes. But just a few things, about Zia is we're not a massive, huge company that you come to and say, okay, we've got a very specific program and you've got to fit into one of our boxes for managed services. We're very flexible. So we want to make sure that the service that we're providing you aligns exactly with the way that you want this application to be managed. So, a few of those things are, we become an extension of your ISN support team. We already have our own change management programs, protocols, and SOPs, but we integrate those with yours. So we want to make sure that we're following the same type of standards that you expect, and also integrating with your existing SOPs and WPDs. And then, there's just a few other things around. Zia isn't going to charge for ingress, egress fees, etc. Whatever the wire cost is, that's fine. We pass it straight through, but there's no uplift. So we're not going to do any uplift on infrastructure fees, etc. If you ask us to manage in Amazon Web Services, that's fine. We'll use our reference architecture. In many instances, we would do it in the same zone that you're already located in, so that we can connect directly to your existing SAP environment. And again, like I said, no infrastructure uplift fees. We're really focused on the core of our business, which is providing the management services of the infrastructure itself and the application to ensure that it's achieving its highest level of capability. And let's see here, flexibility and transparency. This is really important to us. This is part of the monitoring agents, et cetera, that we leverage. These things are not only for us. We're always transparent in terms of what's happening in your environment. We provide reports on what's happening in your environment. And every month and every quarter, we provide you with key performance indicators of the various things that we're monitoring and how we did. So not only from an infrastructure standpoint, but also how did we do from a tier 2, tier 3 support perspective to make sure that we're meeting your objectives. The other thing
is you're appealing to the global supply chain manager in me.
Yes. And then, the last bullet here I think is important as well. From a lot of cloud providers or MSPs, you'll find that they kind of want to stick within their box of their core capabilities. we're happy to look at the full integrated solution, and we think that that's important. Meaning, if you're leveraging the SAP archive from Mobius, and you have 3 or 4 different application APIs to self-service portals, etc., what can happen in its standard MSP is there's an upgrade or patch coming, and they might overlook that. And so what we do is take into account the entire solution and say, okay, we have a patch that's coming out. There's an update to the API. We know that there are 3 integrations written here. We already have the code, and that's part of our standard operating procedure, is to go into the lower environments, review where that code impact is, make sure that we're testing that and that we're following WPD in order to transport that in before making any issue, before, possibly creating an issue. So that's, another difference is happy to, include the entire solution. We think that that's important in order to achieve your business objectives of essentially full uptime. I mean, I know everybody wants to talk about all the nines after the dots, but essentially, we need this thing to be running.